Why is it that the most polluted places are also the same places where you have the least amount of economic opportunity and the same places where you have the least amount of educational resource? These are the same places and the same people who are being oppressed in our country. And so what then is the responsibility? Is it the responsibility of those who are in chains and those who are shackled to free themselves? And the history of this country has proven over and over again that oftentimes the leaders are the ones who are in chains, who do free themselves. But the way that we have a sustained movement for justice, the way that I believe, and I'd argue that the climate justice and environmental justice movement move forward, is that we build, as Heather McGee calls the solidarity dividend, and as Jane just mentioned, you build unlikely alliances. For us to change this country, for us to win this fight, which we will win, because we will never quit. We will win because we will never quit. Because we will win this fight, we have to make sure we have the right strategies and tools that are built around that solidarity dividend. It's the people with the privilege to be able to jump on these flights, it's the people with the privilege of these degrees, it's the people with the privilege of access to the White House and to the State Department. It's the people with privilege who are accountable and responsible for doing something. Because the people who are forced at the bottom are acting and are screaming. When I look at Boxtown, I look at Westwood, the cancer rates scream for themselves. The people who are being oppressed in our country, they are screaming. It is the people who do hold the megaphone, which in our society, in the American context, the people who hold the megaphone are actually the people in power. I held one on the State House floor. The people in power, right? The people in power have a responsibility to take the megaphone and give it to the folks who are screaming but are not being listened to. And so I heard my friend mentioned the Rockefeller Foundation committed over $500 million. And the question is, how much of that is going to the front lines? We need that money to go to the people who are fighting for their very breath. That's what it's about. It's not an ephemeral idea or ideal that we're talking about here. It's not just the 1.5 degrees Celsius. It's not the COP 26 or 28. I don't know what number it's at right now. That's not it, right? It's not the amazing climate week that's going to happen. Like, that's not it, right? Do the organization, mobilization, activation, talk about it all the time. It's the people who are fighting for their literal breath, their actual water, the very land that they live on, against these corporations who have infinite resources financially. But the reality is we've got an infinite resource too. It is love. Our infinite resource that was passed down from generation to generation is love. And see, shareholders can't buy that. Stockholders can't assemble it enough. You can't trade it on Wall Street. And what brings us and commits us, and what I believe you'll see in the stories that you read, is that each person who's willing to sacrifice themselves and their energy and their time and their lives for this movement to save the planet, literally. The renewable resource has been love for this planet and love for the people in our communities, love for our families, love for our grandmothers. That's what we have. And love wins. We beat Byhalia. We beat Keystone XL. We got a whole lot more that we are going to beat and that we are going to win as we do it together.